instructor, Ma'am Edeline Telewick. Good day to you, Ma'am. My name is Geraldine C. Banki, B.Ed Decision 2 student. For this video is all about Sigmund Freud. So, Sigmund Freud in 1856 to 1931 was the founder of psychoanalysis, a theory of how the mind works and a method of helping people in mental distress. Freud was born on May 6, 1856 in Freiburg, Moravia, to a family of Jewish wool merchants. Sigmund Freud emphasized the importance of the unconscious mind, and a primary assumption of Freudian theory is that the unconscious mind governs behavior to a greater degree than the people suspect. Indeed, the goal of psychoanalysis is to make the unconscious conscious. The unconscious can include repressed feelings, hidden memories, habits, thoughts, desires, and reactions. Memories and emotions are too painful, embarrassing, shameful, or distressing to consciously face are stored in the enormous reservoir that makes up the unconscious mind. According to Freud's psychoanalytic theory, is the ID is the primitive and instinctual part of the mind that contains sexual and aggressive drives and hidden memories. That superego operates as a moral conscience, and the ego is the realistic part that mediates between the desire of the ID and the superego. Although each part of the personality comprises unique features, they interact to form as a whole, and each part makes a relative contribution to an individual behaviors. The ID is the part of unconscious that contains all the urges and impulse, including what is called libido, a kind of generalized sexual energy that is used for everything from survival instinct to appreciation of art. The ID is kind of stubborn, for it responds only to what Freud called the pleasure principle, if it feels good to do it, and nothing else. The ego develops to mediate between the unrealistic ID and the external real world. It is the decision-making component of personality. Ideally, the ego works by reason, whereas the ID is chaotic and unreasonable. The ego operates according to the reality principle, working out realistic ways of satisfying the ID's demands, often compromising or postponing satisfaction to avoid negative consequences of society. The ego considers social realities and norms, etiquette and rules, in declining, deciding how to behave. The superego incorporates the values and morals of society, which are learned from one's parent and another. It develops around the age of 3 to 5 years old, during the phallic stage of psychosexual development. The superego is a part of the unconscious that is the voice of conscience doing what is right, and the source of self-criticism. It reflects society's moral values to some degree, and a person is sometimes aware of their own morality and ethics. But the superego contains a vast number of codes of prohibition, that is, are issues mostly unconsciously in the form of commands or don't statement. The superego's function is to control the ID's impulse, especially those which society forbids, such as sex and aggregation. The superego consists of two systems, the conscience and the ideal self. The conscience is our inner voice, God tells us when we have done something wrong. The conscience can punish the ego through causing feelings for guilt. For example, if the ego gives it to the ID's demand, the superego may make the person feel bad through guilt. The ideal self or ego ideal is an imaginary picture of how you ought to be and represent career aspiration, how to treat other people, on how to behave as a member of society.